Welcome back, and thank you for being here for episode 26 of Beyond the Spot. This week, we are journeying through the sacredness of anger in a season of grief, a nervous system, spiritual, and decolonized exploration of anger during collective heaviness. I am your host, Tracy Gantlin-Monroy, licensed professional counselor. You know, this season holds a quiet ache. The lights are bright, but the nation feels dim. We're told to celebrate, but so many are grieving. We're told to gather, but loneliness is everywhere. And under the weight of recession, loss, and uncertainty, anger rises. Not the destructive anger we were warned about, but the sacred anger that tells the truth. Something hurts. Something is missing. Something in me needs room to breathe. In a season that demands joy while bodies are carrying heartbreak, anger is absolutely not pathology. Anger is intelligence, it's awareness. Anger is grief's bodyguard. Anger is the nervous system refusing to lie. Today, we honor the sacredness of anger in a season of grief because your fire deserves room to speak. Let's explore the sacredness of this season's fire. Before we go any further, take a breath with me and ask your body invitationally, gently, where does anger live in me right now? Is it in your jaw? Perhaps your belly? How about your breath or even your back? Simply notice, no judgment. We're only noticing. Fact of the matter, for many, anger may be the most honest prayer we pray right now. And just know that's okay. And whatever your truth is absolutely acceptable. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. Beyond the Spot, Decolonizing Healing One Brain at a Time, is a podcast that weaves, my first love, of course, brain spotting, and somatic informed modalities with embodied healing, cultural consciousness, and real talk about trauma, resilience, and recovery. Hosted by Tracy Gantlin-Monroy, a licensed professional counselor, spiritual healer, and the first Black female brain spotting trainer in the world. Each episode dares to dismantle mental health myths, uplift lived experiences, and restore collective wisdom. One conversation at a time. Beyond the Spot podcast is for educational purposes and is not therapy. Please reach out to licensed medical and mental health professionals. Thank you. Let's start right here. This is the holiday season as we know it in our nation. This time of year carries a strange weight. Lights are glowing, but spirits are dim. Families are gathering, but many feel painfully alone. One of the major conversations at both my family um, and my Nigerian family. So, Thanksgiving is a time of year that Babe and I do dinner with my family. Christmas, we do Christmas dinner with my Nigerian family. And we bring a beautiful balance, which has become our tradition, whereby we spend the bulk of the time on Thanksgiving with my family here in Atlanta. And then we travel to my Nigerian family's home to wish them a happy Thanksgiving. Christmas, it's opposite. We say hello and bid good tidings to my family, and then we travel to my Nigerian family's home for the bulk of time and dinner um, when Babe and I are in town. And so it's a very special time for me because, for those of you familiar with me, like family is my hallmark. That is one of the most important things for me, right there underneath my spirituality. And so this holiday season kind of kicked off with my not ruminating, but just sitting with this idea of no contact. So no contact is where mainly adult children decide to no longer have contact with their parents for whatever reason. And there's also parents who are engaging no contact with their adult children for whatever reason. And so it was a really rich dialogue and conversation at both my sister's house and my in-laws home over Thanksgiving. And so no judgment, right? But I have my own thoughts and considerations around the idea of no contact. So yeah, you can be sure that there will be an upcoming episode around that, which is becoming a phenomenon from my own noticing, what I'm seeing, and all the things. But even during the holidays, I think one of the greatest hallmarks becomes families gathering. And it's not uncommon to be with a group of people and still feel alone, right? And so, even at this time of year, the world sends the message of be merry. Fact of the matter is, we're in the midst of a recession, loss, layoffs, and uncertainty is not only whispering, I mean, it's become the background white noise, right? So I want to give a resounding be honest, be clear. And somewhere beneath all the grief, all the blue mood hoovering over our nation and many of our homes and many of our relationships, all that loneliness, it's been an epidemic long before the CDC named it, or even Wall Street, which seems to be a little bit slow around it, has begun to identify it. Anger is rising, not the destructive anger we were warned about. I'm talking about sacred anger. The anger that tells the truth about what hurts, what's unfair, what's unresolved, what's too heavy for one heart to hold by itself. This is the kind of anger that walks hand in hand with grief. And so, in mental health, I would even venture to say that, along with seasonal depression that visits so many every year during the holidays, I think it's co occurring this year with the collective blue mood, with a collective nervous nervous system heaviness um, across the globe, especially in the US. Okay, this is where I'm coming from because grief is love with nowhere to go, and anger is grief's bodyguard. Anger shows up where something mattered. Just to be clear, and I just kind of want to give us a working idea around our time during this episode. You're not the only one feeling it. Collectively, we're sitting in a season of tenderness and scarcity, emotional, financial, and for many, spiritual. People have lost jobs. People have lost stability. People are losing loved ones, losing direction, and losing hope. And dare I say, even my profession as a professional counselor, part of that big, beautiful bill is toying around with this idea of deprofessionalizing professional degrees, starting with the nurses. I can't even imagine what medical care would be absent nurses, nurse practitioners, and all those adjunct folks that make it happen when it comes to receiving medical services. I cannot imagine where we would be absent mental health clinicians, clinical social workers, master level social workers, professional counselors, marriage and family therapists. Like, it's just scary to imagine what would that look like. We already have a shortage nonetheless. But yes, it's important to give voice to that. When one of us are affected, all of us are affected. There is a reason I show up here on this platform, and it has to be inclusive, neighbor to neighbor, shoulder to shoulder, colleague to colleague. There's no exclusion here. And while the world pushes its holiday cheer, the nervous system knows the truth. We're tired. We're stretched. We're grieving. And many of us were angry. I'm talking about that angry that life feels unpredictable, angry that joy feels forced, angry that the expectation of the season don't match the emotional reality, angry that the nation feels heavy and blue, angry that we keep being told to push through instead of being asked, how's your heart? What happened to you, they, and them? From a nervous system perspective, anger isn't a flaw and certainly not a dysfunction, as so many of us have been taught and inundated from a dominant culture normative. Anger, from a nervous system perspective, it's actually activation, mobilization. It's the body trying to create enough energy to survive what feels impossible. What anger is truly saying is this: I need support. I need boundaries. I need rest. I need something to change. I need someone to see me. I need this pressure to ease. And anger rises most when the season demands that we be joyful while our bodies are trying to survive. But here's the truth many clinicians forget: anger is a pro social emotion. It's meant to restore integrity, not destroy a relationship. When the world is unstable, anger tries to stabilize the self. When grief floods, anger becomes the dam. When loneliness burns, anger becomes the spark that says, I wasn't meant to do this alone. This is why anger rises during the holidays and we're not talking about it. And when do we talk about anger, even rage, from a decolonized perspective? Because this season exposes every gap between expectation and reality, every empty chair at the table, every bill unpaid, every job lost, every ache we've been trying to perform our way around. Stop. Pause. And I just want to extend an invitation here reflectively. What is my anger protecting? Could it be a boundary, a heartbreak, a part of me that needed defending long before this season arrived? Could it be my fear to be present with myself at the loss of a loved one situation? We have got to be okay with a cultural, a decolonized frame. Because this idea of decolonial, it is necessary and worthwhile. And I get it sometimes for so many of us when we've been inundated for so long to even include generationally, it can register falsely in the system as this is just the way it is. It's not. It's not. This becomes an invitation to go more right brained with it in that creative, spiritual, yeah. The side of the brain that can really help us create a new path to support us in this whole idea of um, developing new neural pathways. Yeah, yeah. And y'all know, as a Black bodied identifying woman, the more I express my truth through my own reality and experience. Yeah, right? Because I am a part of that group that have been living under the stigmas and the stereotypes of the angry Black woman. This isn't the first time you've heard that. Yeah, but here's the reality: I won't ever pathologize anger. And any woman that looks like me, that does not have some sense of anger, that would become more disconcerting for me. And not just Black women, Black men, and not just Black men, marginalized bodies, bodies that were policed before they were ever understood. And I still find it that it's grossly um, pathologized and misunderstood because understanding comes by way of relationship. Okay. And so when I start talking about um, anger as Black, as Indigenous, as persons of color, it was often labeled aggression, disrespect. instability, noncompliance, defiance. The list goes on. I could call the roll. But our ancestors did not pathologize fire, nor did the Native Americans. They ritualized it, they drummed it, they danced it, they prayed it through. So ask yourself, especially as it pertains to engagement with those of us that identify as Black, Indigenous persons of color. And let's ask ourselves as well, all of us, none of us are exempt here. Who taught us that our anger was dangerous? A family rule, perhaps? How about the church? How about a therapist or a clinician or helping professional? What about a survival strategy? And then ask ourselves, does that belief still serve the versions of me living today? Because let's be clear, spiritual resonance is a real thing. Even scripture says, be angry, but sin not. Meaning, anger is allowed. Anger is human. Anger is divine information. It tells you when something sacred has been violated. Perhaps your peace, your dignity, your boundaries, your belonging, your sense of being held by the world, telling you what that looks like and what that's supposed to feel like. This season, your spirit might be saying, I can't pretend anymore. I can't carry this alone. I can't be joyful on command. And that, my dear, is holy truth. There is no healing without honesty and transparency. And need I say, authenticity. There can be no liberation without acknowledging the fire. Anger is not the problem. The shame around it is the problem. Anger is the body simply saying, I matter. My needs matter. The grief I'm feeling, oh, it matters. My exhaustion matters. Your anger in this season, my friend, may be the most honest prayer you pray. What part of my story needs to be witnessed, not fixed? Simply a reflective invitation. Who can hold space for you? What circle can you return to or even create? What truth needs to be spoken aloud? There's something about power, not when we think a thing, but when we speak a thing. For anyone who just caught that. So, if anger is rising in you right now, if you're irritated more easily, if you're weepy and fiery at the same time, if you feel like you're walking around in a fog of grief with sparks under your feet, you are not broken. You are not failing. You are not too sensitive. You are responding to a world that is genuinely heavy for all of us, and your body is trying to keep you alive. Let your anger speak. Allow it to tell you what hurts. Allow it to let it show you where your boundaries collapsed. How about allow it to guide you back to your needs? Let it burn away the false stories and narratives and leave you with something true, something authentic. something that is life giving. Anger is not the opposite of peace, it is the doorway to it. What is your anger inviting you to restore today, right now? Could it be support, rest, quiet? How about boundaries? What about community? Or could it simply be honesty? And let's go here. If your anger could speak freely, what would it say without being shamed? Let the message rise without silencing it. As we move through this season, may your anger become information, not shame. May your anger be honored. May your grief be witnessed. May your loneliness be met with compassion. May your nervous system feel held, even if just for a breath. And may you remember, you don't have to carry this by yourself. There is sacredness in your fire, and there is truth in your tenderness. This is Tracy Gantlin-Monroy, and you're listening to Beyond the Spot, decolonizing healing one brain at a time. Thank you for sitting with me. And until next time, honor your fire and let your truth breathe. If today's episode resonated with your nervous system or your spirit, share it with someone who's still unlearning and reach out to me. My website is gracecommunitycounseling.com. You can reach me on Instagram at Monroy LPC. That is MONROY LPC. Also, I have offerings from retreats to brain spotting trainings to workshops, you name it. And I am also a speaker. So if you ever need a speaker with my skill set, look me up. Give me a call. Let's see what can happen. And absolutely for you clinicians and adjacent body healers, feel free to reach out and attend a brain spotting training. We have trainings all the time. Thank you.